The Lost Art with Andrew Cox podcast. Marine Corps League and Till Valhalla Project Ambassador. Now streaming on all major podcast platforms. Thanks for tuning in to the podcast as giving a voice to our veterans. The Lost Art with Andrew Cox. Hello, my friends, and welcome back to the Lost Art Podcast, that podcast giving a voice to our veterans. I'm your host, Andrew Cox, and today we're having a fireside chat with the crew. Of course, you saw them just a second ago because I wasn't paying attention and I was trying to do something on my phone, which I'm gonna complete right now. So I said, be sure to check out today's podcast with the crew. I apologize, and I'm sharing it now. Okay, cool. We're good. I hope you guys are doing all right. I'm a little discombobulated right now, but if you guys are enjoying the show, don't forget to go check out the website, lostart.podbean.com. Check us out, see what we're all about. There is a merchandise tab you can click on. Go in there, get you some cool merchandise, help support the podcast. You can also become a patron. You can do a monthly donation to the podcast, which will help us out as well. Big shout out to the Till Valhalla Project out there doing some amazing things. If you don't know anything about that organization, you need to be sure and go check them out at tillvalhallaproject.com. Are you a Marine veteran? Are you missing that bond you had on active duty? Then I have a place for you. Join the only congressionally chartered Marine Corps veteran service organization, the Marine Corps League. Get that brother and sisterhood back in your life. Become one of the fewer, the prouder, a Marine Corps League member. All right, you saw before we do have the crew here, so we're going to go round robin. Hey, Bone, what I need to do is adjust my round robin picture now that you're part of the crew here and put your picture on there. I failed to do that. I just saw it and I apologize. But how you been doing?
I'm good. Apology accepted, man. No worries. I'm doing great. Summer is here in the Pacific Northwest and not unlike some of our other brothers who live in parts of the country. The politics are bad, but the state and the people are good. And it's, graduation season and just, the start of some new beginnings and great weather and barbecuing. And I mean,
Ooh.
other than what's going on in my backyard, which we're about to get to later, I think life's pretty good up here, man.
Very nice. I'm enjoying it. Yeah, that's good. All right. Well, there's Sensei. How are you doing?
Well, let's see. My liver has recovered from the graduates after graduation party. My speech went off pretty well. I think I got a lot of good compliments. Jenna was telling me that her the senior feed was blowing up after my speech, so I felt pretty good about it. I delivered pretty well. Even Krista called me. She goes, "Man, you only said once."
Nice.
I was like, "Yeah."
Cheers.
Yeah, that's some recruiter shit.
You must
right
have
there.
actually practiced it. That's what it was.
From all the speeches that I had to give in recruiting school. But now I guess summer has officially started, so I'm working on the garage now. I put a French cleat system in my office, and oddly enough, most people use it for the garages, but I put one in my office for residential use. But now I'm finally getting around to putting a French cleat system in my garage. And today was moving everything away from one wall, painting it, and then almost got all the cleats hung. I'm like
Wow.
3 8-foot sections shy, which I think will take me half an hour to hang. But I'm like, I gotta stop so I can get on the podcast. Let's see. Today's cigar is brought to you by So we got today is Romeo and Julieta. Reserve Real. This is I guess they're 1875. This is like a Toro size. and this is I believe it's Indonesian shade wrapper and the Dominican filler and binder. So, Mike, it's a very smooth cigar. I dare say creamy. It's not really creamy, but it is smooth.
Saying all the words. Say moist.
It better not be moist because then it won't stay lit. Yeah. So put a little V cut on it, and I think I've smoked these before on here, so I'm not necessarily going to do a. I'll give you an after show review, but nothing too in depth.
All right, sounds good. Well, Mike, how you been doing?
I'm doing good, Andrew. You know, it's been a busy week. Just doing good.
Yeah.
Hanging in here, doing what I got to do.
Yeah.
Had to get some things done outside today, but it was raining, so I couldn't do that. But Vic, when he made his comment that he said he only said one time in the whole speech, instantly went me to when he was just talking. I was like, 14, Vic. It's 14. It's 14 ums. And I'm giving you some leniency on that one, man. I was like, all right. I was like, we all have our things that we say and do. I was like, yeah. It's funny.
Well, I was reading from a paper, so I feel pretty good about that.
Yeah. You didn't write into it?
No. I wrote in some but no
If you wrote the one into it and only did that, that would be awesome.
Yeah. The one
I didn't see a thing on that. You know, I don't mean to get off of, you know, us getting on to what we're talking about, but Vic, you know, because you had to do the you know, you did your daughter's speech, but you went to all those other high school graduations. And there was one on the radio the other day I was listening to. They were playing it, and they used AI to announce the names. So all the students had to literally download it, you know, had to scan a QR code and then put their name into it. They had to type it in. Then they had to actually verbally say it on their phone. And they could pick or choose whether they wanted a male or a female voice. And they could pick however they wanted it announced. And, you know, it was typically, you know, it was a male, you know, a male saying it. It's like Andrew Cox, Victor Nay,
or
Jeffrey Cribb. Hey, Jeff. Man,
Super fine,
brother. How are you doing, Jeff? You know, Jeffrey Cribb. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, be some woman be like, Angela something. You know, it was like, okay, where the hell did that come from? And the guy saw, he's running the show. He's like, was that their go-to? And they're like, he came back. The guy actually pulled the video. He's like, no. He said the problem was there were certain names that AI couldn't
pronounce it.
Couldn't pronounce.
Yeah.
So they had to go to you know, actually a human being saying it. But it was just it was funny. You couldn't really tell it was AI, but after you knew it was AI, you're like, okay, that's AI saying a name. It wasn't robotic, but it just wasn't. You know, it was more. It was entirely too fluid. I don't know how to say it any other way. I don't. You guys know what I'm talking about.
Too perfect.
Yeah, fluid's a good word.
Yeah, but you know,
25.
all of a sudden, this woman piped in. She's like, Angela Rodriguez. Like, okay, well, that was a person. Yeah, she had too much emotion in her voice. That's what I'm getting at. You know, the AI guy was like,
I got you.
Andrew Cox, Victor Nay, you know, stuff like that. And all of a sudden she'd pipe in. It's like, where the hell did that come from? It's like, what?
Jim, hopefully you're doing all right there, Jim. You're still hanging out with me. That's cool. I appreciate that. Jim's a good guy. He's up. Oh shoot, was it Knoxville? I think it was Knoxville. I'd have to look at my phone again and see. But he's up in Tennessee area. But yeah, anyways, so I went this weekend yesterday to the Oklahoma Marine Corps League convention, which was pretty good. So yeah, couldn't complain too much about that. And then today, being the date of 8 June, there's a certain someone or someones that happen to get married on this date. And it just so happens to be our 29th year of marriage. So we hit 29 today. Yeah, she's a saint for putting up with me. Yeah, I love her.
How the heck did you beat us, man? We're not 29 till November, so
I don't know. I have no idea.
Hey, both you guys, that's a Christmas miracle. Like, God love you. That's amazing. Good. No, good for you. That is, I mean, all jokes aside, like, and I got more jokes, but that's freaking awesome. That's wow. Like, just again, clapping and
well, that's what Andrew. It's what Andrew is saying. It's not because of him. I won't say because of you. I don't know your guys' relationship, Andrew. I'm saying because of us. You know, Kelly and I.
No, I get you.
My wife and I. It's you know, how she has dealt with what she's dealt with, how she's done what she's done.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, there's days that she stood here in the house and just giving it to me, and I'm like, I know you hate me. I don't hate you. I'm just not happy with you right now. It's like, okay.
Yeah. Krista says definitely a saint.
I was just gonna say, Krista knows. Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's amazing that who we are because of what we are, and Andrew and Vic, and you guys, what you guys did in the military, you couldn't have done it without that person, without that woman. Yeah, I say woman because that's who both of you had, but you couldn't have done it without them.
That's true.
They're the strength, they're the backbone of, you could get up every morning, go to work, deploy, do whatever you had to do, and you couldn't do it.
They're what I like to call the NCO of the household, the backbone, or you could say it's the CO. Of the,
well, I always say that. Household. Even my old boss, and even my new boss, and he's a retired Navy guy. I'll be talking. I was like, "Hey, I got to go to CO's calling."
Yeah.
And my old boss understood what I was saying, and the new boss was like, "What are you talking about?"
You say EXO, then be like, "Oh, second, okay."
Is that what it was?
Ooh, I don't know.
Yeah. Well, you got a good point right there. I didn't. Yeah.
See, maybe we say EXO, and then he'll get it. I don't know. These seamen, they're weird. They also refer to boats as women and inanimate objects as like people.
Yeah.
It's hard to say.
Yeah.
It's so hard to
say.
My wife is the domestic chief of staff.
Yes. Yeah.
That's a good term.
Yeah. So I like
domestic.
That one.
So how do you abbreviate that? DCJSJOS?
Company Gunny. That's Krista.
Well, that should be. Yeah, the Company Gunny. That's what it should be. Hey, the Company Gunny's calling me. I got to go. Where the hell are you at?
That's quality. That's actually really quality. That's good. Company Gunny's calling.
Yeah, the chief. It's like, where the hell are you at? Yeah. I was like, okay.
Oh man, that's good stuff. Well, we do have at least one topic. I sent you guys a message on it, but I think it was Army, if I'm not mistaken. But up in Washington area, up in your neck of the woods, but apparently having issues. His mother said the VA wasn't helping him out, and actually went and killed his 3 daughters. I mean, how bad off does somebody need to be to do something like that? I mean, that's just crazy. Did you guys read the article or anything?
Yeah, I've read some of it. I've heard some more of it. Leaned back into it, and it's none of it's good. And obviously, there's unfortunately, there's always, when people are in pain, there's always going to be scapegoating. And whether
Right.
that's the Marine Corps made you degenerates the way you are, or my, law enforcement service,
Hmm.
my ex-wife hates me and projects on all cops, um, because of law enforcement and shit. Like it's that's that. And,
Hmm.
obviously the things that this individual perpetrated are repugnant and, um, just just horrific. And we can't. I'm not. I don't. I have nothing positive, or I can't put a spin in any way on that. But I can say that,
Yeah.
obviously when people are devastated and, like, dying inside, they're gonna go. They're gonna go. Who do you want to blame, man? It's hard to blame the person you love, and so
Yeah.
you blame the Corps, you blame the VA, you blame the sheriff's office or law enforcement, you blame whatever you can. And as far as that bit of a headline goes, but outside of that, there's a lot of uh, like, just, I would say, like, positive response to it in Washington
Hmm.
from some entities I haven't suspected. And I'm kind of just appreciative that, like, that's it's not being accepted or tolerated, and there is a manhunt, and people are
Right.
not, this, even in Washington, they're not thrilled and forgiving of this. So that's
Right.
hope for the future, I guess.
Yeah, very true. Yeah. It was just I don't know. I wish my wife told me about it. So she's the one, but like Jim said down there, it is terrible. Absolutely terrible. I mean, I can't ever imagine being in a place in my mind where I would do something like that. Like I don't know. I can't imagine that. Um, but you know, I don't know. I mean, that brings the question when you talk about VA and the VA services, it's not just the VA that has to um, help out and those types of things, because a lot of times, and you guys could probably vouch for this as well, but how many times have we gone to medical and we didn't really tell them everything, you know? And that's one thing that we're proud individuals. So, we're not going to say everything out loud. And, if you're not doing that, a doctor can only fix what a doctor knows. So, I encourage everybody, if go seek help and then actually tell them everything. Don't hold on to it. And let them actually be able to do their job with all the information. But I don't know if you guys have any experience with stuff like that at the VA, but so far my experience has been fantastic.
My experience has also been fantastic. I had a wonderful transition out of the Marine Corps. I had 30, 60, 90, 180 day and 1 year calls from a counselor, making sure that I was okay. All my appointments went great. Like, my rating was faster than what everybody was telling me to expect. And I mean, I've still had a wonderful experience with the VA. My
Yeah.
opinion about this guy, if he had unalived them and then committed suicide, I can maybe possibly blame the VA, maybe. But he killed them and then he ran off into the woods.
Yeah.
So he just murdered them, his
True.
children. There's a
Yeah.
special place in hell for people like him,
Yeah.
and he deserves it. I don't care what's going on in his head. If he would have committed suicide after, I mean, because people do that I say all the time, but I mean, it's fairly people
Well,
that,
that's usually what you hear about is
yeah,
something
usually
like
what you
that.
hear about is people that kill their kids also commit suicide. He
Hmm.
murdered them and left. That
Yeah.
there's no scapegoating that. He's a monster. He deserves to go to hell.
Yeah. That's tough, man. Like I said, I couldn't imagine being in that frame of mind. I don't know.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, I can
and
tell you, I can tell you that, with, like, what you said, Andrew, is that it's what you disclose, right? So being in a medical unit for 20 years, and especially, the last 2/3 of it in the Air Force, and I was dealing with, special operators, with TAC P guys, and obviously other you know, officer, types associated with that. Like, there was people who dealt with PTSD diagnoses. There were
Mm-hmm.
people who associated with, like, wasn't NORAD, but the West Coast, like, just just watching screens, watching radar, watching nukes,
Yeah.
like living in a concrete box, watching shit on a loop, on weird times, working weird schedules. And they, these people had um like seasonal depressive issues. Everyone had things, right? And there were obviously, you know, people who seriously were exposed to, like, traumatic events and stuff. And
Right.
honestly, I feel like what I had heard, and I had climbed up to the top of middle management and had an ear in with, you know, um, command and these doctors in my guard unit, is they all seem to be dealt with fairly. Now, what decisions were made at the Guard Bureau or the VA, I'm sure I don't know, and that's not, my place to pontificate about.
Right.
But I just got to say that these things are all put out there. People are made aware of them. They know this, and we try and do, positive things to educate people, and, like, tell them, like, hey, this is how it goes. This is what you need to disclose to deal with your med board or MEB or whatever, whatever acronyms
Yeah.
in any service, and I'm sure it's the same for most. But and then the VA is going to take these things from what you have in your service and look at them, and
Mm-hmm.
and get you that help, right? Because here's the deal: if you're on the verge of just completely melting down, then you can't serve, right? You can't serve
Right.
your country active duty. You can't serve your country in the Guard or Reserve, and they will help you. And yes, that might end up in a med board, and you might not get your 20-year retirement. There are these negative consequences that people fear, but there's no real rug pulled out from under
Yeah.
anybody, right? And there is no the government's out to F you, so they don't have to, pay that dime. Like, those,
Right.
that's not a real thing. And but it is a real fear, and it's a real fear by our
True.
veterans
Yeah.
serving, and when they leave service, that don't want to come back and express these things. And
Yeah. Yeah.
it's really unfortunate because, I mean, I in this case with dipshit, I don't, who knows, right? I don't have
Mm-hmm.
enough information, but
Agreed.
um,
Yeah.
there are things in place that if he would have taken advantage, or is, I mean, it could have been, maybe this wouldn't have happened, or maybe certain things would have been diminished. And then I can also
Right.
talk about the state of Washington and some parental stuff. But go ahead, I'll give it up
Yeah.
to you
Yeah.
guys.
Real quick, Pratt, I saw your comment. Thank you. It's good to see you too, although I don't see you. It's good to hear from you. And then Daniel Baker, another podcast host out there, Army veteran, says trying to figure out what was going on. He came in at a bad time. So uh, basically, there was an individual up in Washington area, Army veteran, if I'm not mistaken, was having issues and ended up killing his three children. And the mother from the article that I saw was blaming the VA for it. So that's kind of where that this whole conversation stems from. And then let's see, Jim Russell. Well, what we see is just giving vets another pill to treat what they think will fix you. I've had to change doctors 3 times to finally get a doctor that actually listens to me. Yeah, and I will agree. The VA does like to give pills out, and it's probably because it's easier, to be honest with you. But hopefully they're combining that with some form of therapy or other means of helping people out as well.
Yeah,
At least
that's
been my experience.
Yeah, and that's one thing, Andrew. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
You're good.
That, talking to friends and scattered out all over the country, and even one of the guys I work with, it's amazing how the VA I'm not going to sit here and lie to you. I don't know, but the VA when I talk to these guys, it's how it's regional, how they're certain things, they're like, man, I couldn't ask for any more. I've got a number, I call it, I can go in, I do this, do that. Other ones are like, yeah, I can't get in a damn appointment for 3 months. Stuff like that. So it's you guys have all, I'm assuming, all had somewhat relatively decent VA experiences.
Oh yeah, I
all
haven't
of you
had
guys.
any issues.
Yeah, but there's, that's, you hear all this negative, then you hear the positive, and you're like, okay, well, it's like anything. There's always going to be good and bad, but
well, it's also just like units, right?
Yeah.
Every unit is gonna run a little bit differently. Some for the better, some for the worse.
Well,
and
that's
I think
just
every
it.
VA is the same way.
Yeah, but that's the problem we all look at is, why aren't they all the same? Why don't they all do the same damn thing? But you just said it, Andrew. It's like, okay, well, every unit runs differently.
Yeah.
And
Interpretation too, right?
Yeah, it doesn't matter when it's in the military or in the civilian sector. You put it in law enforcement. I assume you got to look at things. Everything's county to county, city by city. It's just okay.
People are people. Regions are regions. I did law enforcement different in Maple Falls, where I was a neighborhood deputy, and I wouldn't say austere is extreme, but like East County and separated than I would down in Bellingham city limits or adjacent, right?
Yeah.
So you just and how is the VA equipped there? Who's working? What's the volume? These things, and yeah, exactly. I mean, Krista just said it. All people are different, and it's what are you working with to deal with them? And that's the problem, is when everyone's different. That's why we have teams. Who can you bring in? What can you bring in? How can you deal with this? Generally, I can deal with most people, whether it's law enforcement, nursing, mowing my lawn and being a neighbor. I'm that guy. But there are times where people just look at my white bald ass and hate me. Like, just like, for what reason? The tenor of my voice, my baldness, my anything. Like it literally, and especially when it comes to like dysfunction, mental illness, certain things, sickness, there's just some things that, like, you can go through life being just like the greatest, nicest, sweetest guy, and like you're gonna run afoul of someone who's like, you F you, like I'll talk to the scumbag. Or and great, if you have a scumbag there, let them talk to him. If you have the female Marine officer, deputy, whatever, like, yes, change gears. That's beautiful when you have that, and you can give help, good care, all the love. But when you don't, when it's just you versus the world, or it's just, I don't know, man, a small VA, can you imagine a leader, a supervisor, and one guy answering the phone to help whatever many veterans? How does that work when it doesn't work out, where someone's like, yeah, I'm not, you and I aren't simpatico. So, what's that?
Yeah.
The anti-baldness is real.
It is. At times.
Dan Baker says.
Yeah. Well, there's two of you on here that have hair. There's two of us.
Yeah, Jim.
So I mean,
I
It's
don't.
50-50 right now.
According to Jim's picture there, he's bald. Dan's bald. Krista is not bald though. So
No, Chris is not. Yeah, but she's right. Some doctors suck. Bedside manner, man, that's something they can try and teach, but you can't actually learn or get. Let me tell you
that's
that.
a true
Right?
statement.
And that's definitely something children don't have, and that's definitely something that people pumped through high school, college, i.e., undergrad, and then med school, like, don't get. But also, if a robot comes up to me and I'm about to have surgery and I hear that accent from a robot that I want to hear, you fill in the accent. I'm like, yes. Night, night. Oh, be all right. 9 surgeries on my eye. You stay. If a poo tells me I'm going to bed, and that's what it is, right? Like, and I'm happy about it, but is that good bedside manner? Is that what it is? Like,
Yeah.
no, I just know I've had 40 years of life and 9 surgeries. So, by the 4th one, I'm like, this is the best thing that could ever happen to me. Well, when people don't have experiences with the VA or experiences with veterans, law enforcement, other things, I don't know. It's just an experiential thing where if you don't have that, exposure and access to how that goes, you kind of tend to just either it misses you or you dismiss it, and it makes for a not good situation.
I got a question for you guys. Would you rather have a doctor like that, whether it's with the VA or not, that is prior military, or would you rather have a doctor that is a civilian that has nothing or doesn't matter?
I want the best doctor for the job. I don't care what their prior experience is. I want the best doctor. Period. At the end.
Yeah, makes sense. Do you guys agree with that?
Well, to me, it doesn't matter. I couldn't care less if, male, female, or, military or not. It's just, I want somebody that, and it's terrible, Ryan. I'll say this to you because my wife says it is going 20 years now as a nurse.
Yeah.
She's talked about, she is, what she does is for, what she does and how she does it, just phenomenal. But she had to put, our 2 kids, she was going to college, nursing school while I was in Iraq. And she had to do that, be a single mother and do everything. And she's like, at that point, all I was worried about, get degrees.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. She passed her boards the first time and went to nursing school and everything, got her license and state of California. But, she talks about it and she's like, do you want somebody that's actually willing to sit there and listen to you? And she goes on more all the time about the, patients, whether it be we're in California, we're in Minnesota, we're in Georgia, and she's a travel nurse in Tennessee. And it's nonstop military families, military people, and all of a sudden they spark up this conversation and they just start talking and it's amazing how they, she wasn't in the military, but her dad did 27 years in the Air Force and she grew up in that. She was born in Alaska, lived in Texas, California, Alaska, all over. But, she has this strange bond to the military. So it was a natural thing with, her and me. We met in high school. We're high school sweethearts. And I went in the Marine Corps and she would, I was a senior. She was a freshman. And, we had a year in there that didn't quite work out, but magically came back together, stuff like that. But, and that's why I said to Andrew, I said, how the hell you guys have 29 years before us?
That's how.
Yeah.
Well, you
I'm not
got,
gonna lie, I find it very difficult to believe that you were ever a sweetheart.
No, I
Him
don't
or
ever
me?
think I was never.
I wasn't.
Well,
I am now.
both of us, man, we were never both sweethearts, but but it's amazing when you say that. Who would you rather have? And I'm like male, female, the best qualified. But I mean, really, to me, it would be somebody that you could talk to. It's not going to sit there and has some kind of judgment or, I don't know, honestly. Maybe somebody was in the military or, was in a military family that could actually understand you. Hell, Kelly and I were at a wedding yesterday. Guy came up to me because I had I didn't have my enlisted tie clip on, but I had an Eagle Glove and anchor,
mm-hmm.
Tie tack on, and had was in a jacket and a shirt and a tie and all that. And he's like,
Dang, all dressed up.
He's like,
Angsty.
he said, man, I really like your tie. He said, you're in the Marine Corps? I was like, yeah, I was, And he said, yeah, my dad was in the Navy, and he was a medic, and he was just, but it's interesting. But to me, somebody you could have a conversation with, how you could actually have a conversation and talk.
Yeah.
But I don't know, Ryan. I mean, what's your thought? I mean, did you?
I would say here's how I approach it, and I mean, I think this is it kind of goes back to the title of this podcast, the lost art. Like, one of the lost arts is conversation, like meeting people in the middle, knowing how to be an NCO and talk to a subordinate, knowing how to be an NCO and talk to the XO or the CO, right? How to manipulate that. And manipulation's a bad word, but we'll go to Jocko talk, use your influence, right?
Yeah.
Like,
navigate that.
It's fucking manipulation, but it's what it is, right? But it's
navigate that.
So that being said, is like all those things is how you navigate that, how you deal with it. And here's how you deal with a doctor. Now, all of them are going to be qualified, board certified, sanctified. I can go on. I can do the it's you know what I mean? Like, it's a and but the reality of the situation is yeah, dude, sometimes you're gonna find an an ex-military or prior service nurse, doctor, and you're gonna click with them, and they're gonna give you great service. And sometimes, honestly, you're gonna find I'm just gonna say words and they're true. You're gonna find a first or second generation Asian person who had a tiger mom that forced them into their profession, that is a doctor, that is not really that relatable. And they're probably the best. They're probably better than any of those other doctors I just talked about. But, if you have the ability to sit, listen, interact, relate, even in your anxiety, fear, you're the one getting surgery. Like, it makes those things nice. I've had all those things. I've also had 5 eye surgeries where I had the same pre-op nurse who only remembered me half the time, right? But obviously, she's busy, man. She's working at a huge hospital in Seattle.
Yeah.
I'm coming down there, pre-op stuff. She's another bald white guy getting eye drops, but no, and I say that, and that's me being deprecating to myself. This person was an angel. This is like a 35-year-old nurse who was freaking amazing and engaging and not prior service and not married to a service person, because we dug into that by the 4th or 5th time. But just somebody who's a great person, loves serving and helping people. Kind of like, to go back to the doctor thing, like, who's qualified and who's willing to do it. And if you're willing to divulge and discuss, and I'm not saying air out all your dirty laundry, right? Like, that's not the time to air out bedroom issues, but it's also the time to be personable and give out some personal context and things. And when you connect, they reconnect while they're giving you that medical care. And it's
Yeah.
amazing. And Mike's, nodding because that's his wife's whole 20-year journey and what she's done. And it's, I mean, the same shit applies to law enforcement. The same stuff can apply to leadership and followership in the military, right? If you learn and get a sense of that, it doesn't, I mean,
Yeah.
most qualified, less qualified. Gosh,
And we got
less and less all the time.
we got the actual from Kelly there. She said he
Yeah,
definitely
yeah.
is not a sweetheart. So just
Yeah.
make sure you saw that,
Yeah, I appreciate that.
Social-
It's on the screen, Kel. I appreciate it. Thank you. You're in the bedroom, so yeah.
Social media has wrecked the delicate and deliberate art of human interaction. Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
That was actually in my commencement speech.
Was it?
Said in my commencement speech, put your phone down, be present in the moment, unplug, have real world relationships. It matters.
Yes.
And everybody in the entire crowd started clapping and yeah.
Really?
In the crowd.
It's
the crowd,
true.
not the students, right?
Yeah, it was the crowd. So it was all the parents,
exactly. Yeah.
all the adults. All the adults were like, yeah.
Hey, those kids though, they're starting to learn it. I go to school with them. It's weird being a 44-and-a-half-year-old man, but they're not learning it like we did. They didn't come up in it, but it's like what you just said and why everyone was clapping, and they're tracking that reaction, and they get to it. Like I kid you not, it is. I see it. I see it in kids, and I don't engage. I have a wife. I have 2 kids, 2 dogs, an ex-wife. Like I don't need like that bullshit's not for me. But because and I'm old, right? Like I get it all, but like as I watch and see how these kids navigate school, interacting with each other, interacting with people my age who are their peers, or interacting with these professors who are closer to that. It is like they're like at least the squared away ones, not all of them, but the squared away ones are figuring it out. And I got to tell you, it's more people than you think. The quiet majority is like they're working it out their own way. It's a different generation, but they're getting to it, right? They are. They're getting their degrees. They're figuring out. They realize they're getting effed by the government. They're paying taxes. They got to do this. They can't buy homes. Things are this and that. Like it's stuff is like they're not. They're still people, man, and it's coming the right way. So like things like what you said was received probably better than you think, Sensei.
I hope. I mean, that's the point.
Yeah.
I want to know what you did with my friend because you're coming up with good advice, and I don't know if my friend knew how to do that before.
You talking to me?
Who, Sensei?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, because
Yeah,
like ChatGPT wrote half my speech. That's why.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
I literally said
talk
at the
to the
beginning
children.
of my speech when I sat down to have ChatGPT tell me what to write, I thought about this stuff. But I'm not kidding. I literally put in a bunch of prompts into ChatGPT, and I've been using ChatGPT now for over a year, and I use it a couple of times a week. I use it quite a bit now.
It's pretty cool.
I
Pretty cool
went
thing.
I went to a conference several months ago, and somebody was giving a clinic on AI, and basically they said ChatGPT or any AI that produces emails or letters or whatever speeches should be your first best draft. And it should be no more than 80% of your final. And I think I changed about 50% of it, maybe 40% of it, but I think around 50%. Yeah, I literally, some of the transitions in my speech and that kind of stuff was ChatGPT. And but yeah, I literally said, I think my prompt was write a speech from a school board member to a graduating class that contains my daughter with messages that sound like could be anyone but for my daughter.
It would have been really scary because the Chat GPT thing starts to know you as an
It does.
individual, which is scary in its own. But did it like come up with her name and everything? Like, was it able to predict it?
I don't think it came up with her name. I don't think I've mentioned her name to Chat GPT.
Okay.
But it knows that I'm a band director. It knows that I'm a drummer. It knows that I teach at a Catholic school. It knows that I'm a 24-year veteran of the Marine Corps. It knows that I ride motorcycles. I mean, and it will add little things in like that.
Yep.
Or
yep. The government. Yeah, man, you're a politician. The government's so deep in you, man. That's not even funny anymore. It's just they're listening to you. They're. Let me guess.
Yes.
Your speech was like Obama, right? It was like rub-a-dub-dub. God, thanks for the grub. Hey, yeah. It's like, hi ho, my name's Victor. It's a joke, man. No, it's amazing how you really don't. I've listened to different podcasts that were talking about that. And it's amazing how you could actually give like Chat GPT very little information.
It figures it out.
And what it can do. It's absolutely incredible. That's AI. And that's one thing. It's Ryan. You're actually giving a glowing endorsement for the younger generation, man. You're like, they're figuring it out. Are they seeing this? Do they understand this? Are they, you muted yourself because your pups were barking.
While he's muted, Dan says, when you use AI, you're only making it easier for the machines to take over.
Yep, yeah. They're coming. They're coming.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Nothing. Yeah, I got nothing. You're still muted.
Now am I unmuted?
Yeah. There you go. There you go.
All right, yeah. I have double mutes. I was playing with my new toy. Sorry.
We kept seeing your sexy self, and there's nothing coming out of your mouth, man. We were like, what's going on?
So to say these kids do use it, and then they alter it and modulate it, right? Because they know, like, let AI do half the work, make it not look like AI. Some of the lazy ones do. The professors are hip to, screening it and figuring out what doesn't sound like them, right? Like, when I write, I have a voice. But I also wrote for 18 years, but I wrote police reports. So I wrote a certain way. I wrote a regular standard law enforcement. I came, I saw, I took, I put the evidence into Ting with the stuff, and that's one report. And then if I beat that ass, it was, no shit, Your Honor, there I was.
So there I was.
Not but for, and I go, and then they did, and then I did, and then they did, and then I did, and then this happened, and then handcuffs. And so, there's a different, there's two different things, but AI can actually obviously modulate that because I have parameters. I have 2 boxes of which I write a burglary report. I write a domestic violence report. I write a superlative 5-page, I'm going to get sued and sent to federal county and the ass penitentiary ass beating report. That is, you know what I mean? And so, like, but that's all in my voice. And you know who knows my voice? Me, my sheriff, if they've been there a long time, certainly my superiors and supervisors. And so, like, actually, professors, college people, they learn this too. They know the voice of the average 2020 to 2025 kid. They don't talk like a robot. They certainly don't talk or write like you and I, right? Any of
Yeah.
us. Like, even you take out the profanity or the Marine Corps jargon, like we don't communicate the same way as children, and we sure as shit don't communicate the same way as AI. So it hasn't all the way figured it out, but when I say that the kids have figured it out, they figured out how to use it, and it's just a tool. And a lot of them are realizing like, yeah, like use the tool, and that's smart. That's why wouldn't you, right? That's
Yeah.
like if you're a Marine in a fight, and there's an inanimate object next to you, and you have to kill somebody. There's two inanimate objects. One's a pillow, and one's a machete. What are you gonna pick up?
Oh yeah. Yeah, the pillow
T-
for sure.
Yeah, tell me,
Right?
Sensei.
Yeah.
What do you like? Come on, like it's and we assume that they're so soft they're going to be like the pillow, because then I can offer them, they can hug it, and we can talk. No, man, they like my life's in danger. They're going to pick up the machete, and they're going to cry and be worse off than we were, but they're going to do the right thing. So these things are intersecting, and they are coming together. I see this in the youth, and I'm not just being Pollyanna about it. I'm literally saying, like, the military does and still does replenish itself, and so you know what I mean? Like, and what did our, my grandfather, who I wasn't in combat in World War II, but our grandparents and great grandparents who were in the shit in World War II and Korea, who actually saw like the worst of the worst combat. Like, you don't think the greatest generation didn't look at us and were like, guys are a bunch of
These
just
weenies.
pussies. And I said the P word.
Yeah,
it's what it is. Like, I'll take it. I think I've outgrown that comparison, but it's not. It's, I mean, it's same.
Yeah. Every generation is.
There's hope.
They look at the last generation like, yeah, we're screwed.
Right. We're not though, but we're not, because they get it, because they know how to work.
They'll figure it out. Yeah. Everybody figures it out eventually.
They won't let Chat GPT screw them. We would. Yeah. We would let AI and Chat GPT make me have to be the kid from Terminator 2. They aren't. They're going to be ahead of it. You know what I mean? Like, somehow. I don't know how, but they will.
We do get smarter with every generation too, so they'll figure it out.
That's one thing. Ryan has that benefit because he lives in Washington State, especially on the western side, the west coast of Washington. So he's more I don't want to say indoctrinated, but you're more understanding of that. You're more understanding of that. As far as you go into college. You're in college now to go. You're in college to be a nurse. So I'm in
tune and exposed. I'm in tuned and exposed.
Yes.
Yeah.
The West Coast
I like that.
An abomination. I hate it. I'm out of here once my youngest child is independent and going to school. I'm gone. So I might be living next to any of you three.
All right.
I mean that, but that's not superlative. But that being said, it's the exposure, it's the constant. Like, that's all you see. But no, like the real, when it comes to reality and true beliefs, that hasn't been undone. I'm just saying, like, so take as bad as the West Coast is, I still see positive, legitimate, critical thinking and, just reality-based cognitive dissonance happening in children. And that's in Washington, right? It's nice. It's nice.
Well, it's nice to hear, you say that, and the rest of the country kind of looks at things differently, but at the end of the day, there's every generation says the generation before them was weak.
Yeah.
When I went in the military, and when I was in the military, went in 92.
I got a good example. I got a good example. Back in my day, when we had to write awards, we had to like think about it and sit down and actually write the awards. Unlike these new guys, like Fagan there, he said AI was a game changer in writing awards.
Hell yeah.
Man, these young guys, I tell you what.
Well, I don't. Well, I won't even say ChatGPT jumped in on that one. I mean, everybody came to me to write freaking awards and like, hey, McNanny, we need you to write something up. Man, I had freaking,
You were the
say.
chat GPT.
I had shit saved. I was saving it and I was going back in there and cut paste. Let me do this.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
Cut paste is our friend.
And really, now that you say it, Ryan, it's the same damn shit.
Yeah.
Yes.
But I mean, I cut and pasted, and I took shit, and even recommendation letters, and
what AI's doing.
Yeah, absolutely.
I did it too.
I had like 6 books. I mean, I had all kinds of books. Review writing guides and fitness report writing guides and all that kind of shit, man. I copy and pasted dozens of all that.
I think that's what those were there for, though. That's the important part.
Why? Because writing awards doesn't, and this obviously, listening to you guys, must span every branch of the DoD. And I think there's a billboard above somewhere in my old unit where it's like, when you write an awards line, this is how an asshole speaks. You can't speak like a normal human and talk functionally and write an award or write an EPR bullet or an IPR bullet. Like officer enlisted, it doesn't matter. Little Buckaroo did good.
Yeah.
No fucky did bad.
Yeah.
Great participate.
Yeah. Exactly.
That's the bullet line.
He's like, he can't say this motherfucker.
And that doesn't get kicked back by Big Guard Bureau or some nonsense in what? Tennessee. Where are they at?
Yeah.
St. Louis.
Yeah.
Like, there's some poor person that literally has to sit and review that and kick it back, which, by the way, if that's your job, A, thank you, but B, I'm so sorry for you, man.
Yeah.
Like, seek the help you need, because you're reviewing nonsense that explains what kids did to get a bullet point on an EPR. Nightmare, just nightmarish, and that is.
We've all served at point. All 4 of us, all of our services have overlapped at some point. We'll just say that, and it had to have, said name Marine, once you say their name and, shit like that, or, said name sailor or whatever, airman, it had to say, it said, is a plank owner in this unit. And they, it's like, it was like the same shit. Yeah. You heard the same shit over and over and over again.
Yeah.
Man, I could just sit there and just type shit out. They're like, so-and-so, he got kicked down again. It went from a Navy Achievement Medal, down to a letter of appreciation. And I'm like, all right.
You see Dan's comment?
You set it back up and they're like, oh yeah, that's good. Yeah, that's that's a Navy comm right there. And I'm like, well, fuck. It was a Navy.
That's what the thing. Yeah, exactly.
It was a Navy comm before, but yeah, you're right, Ryan. You just couldn't say. He's like, if you could actually say stuff the way you wanted to say it, it's like this motherfucker. This and this and that.
Here, I will pull this back up. Every great or tragic story begins with, so what happened was, and then he says, the award guidebooks were a godsend back in the carbon copy days. He's like, damn, I'm old. Agreed, Dan, you are old. Agreed.
Dan, that is a great quote. So what happened is the military version of the law enforcement, no shit, there I was. Like, that's how all of it, that's how I'm in the chief's office. And it's like, hey man, like non-threatening, no shit, there I was. things just be okay. You know, and the reality is I'm out there being way more threatening than that, and shit got broken and people got dead. But what do you want to do? It wasn't my idea. It wasn't my idea. Like anything else, we work for other people. We work for the Department of Defense.
Oh my
What do
God.
you want?
Yeah, but even then, I mean, Ryan, you went from, the military to, the civilian law enforcement sector. God, that had to even be even worse. Was
Yeah.
it not? I mean, it has to be, especially in Washington, no offense.
Well, it obviously this is it's escalated over 20 years in Washington, just like when you know when Laughlin comes on and he's like, yeah, California is great except for the politics. Yeah, like San Diego is the greatest part of the world except for
Yeah,
the
it's
politics.
nice.
It's so great, and except for that. So, but
Well, the traffic is bad.
all right, but like, and the fish tacos are good though. But like
But that is true. That is true.
Washington, the law enforcement has just gotten worse and worse and more denigrated over this 25 years.
Yeah.
And it's been a slow burn. And that being said, there's some things that were very reasonable. There were things when I got out of the law enforcement academy when I was 26 that were like state and federally legal that I knew were coming to an end. Like I knew Arizona versus Gant, for those of you cops who are listening, I knew AV Gant was coming the day I left the police academy. So like, you're like, what? We're just carte blanche searching cars because somebody was driving suspended. There's no nexus to guns or drugs or anything. They're like, yeah, it's legal. So we do it. And I'm like, so your answer is yeah, cuz. And they're like, yeah, don't say anything. And I'm like, yes, okay. Right? Obviously, clearly, because who does that serve? Us, the public, not the druggies. But then the lawyer, I mean, but it took a minute. It took years. It took years.
Yeah.
I'm an idiot. And it took years for lawyers to figure that out and run it up the chain and make that a national thing, right? Like, just like how we read people their Miranda rights. That's like Miranda versus, I'm going to probably say it wrong, Miranda versus Ohio. Gosh, I should know that off my head. Whatever, dude. Your Miranda rights came back decades and decades ago. And again, when that became a thing, every old cop was like, oh my God, we have to tell them they don't have to talk to us and they can talk to a lawyer. No one will say anything. Law enforcement's dead. The world's over. It's anarchy. Like you just signed off on anarchy. Holy crap. And it's like, well, did that happen? Or is that just part of every TV show? But every idiot that talks to you that you give Miranda to goes, some don't waive it, and you go, dang, not asking any questions. That's a real bummer. Most, you give it to them, you say it, it's very justified, and you're doing the lost art, baby. You're like, and you don't have to talk to me, and you can talk to a lawyer. But that being said, wow, you're really screwed. I have your bag and your car and your girlfriend's on that. So, what do we want to do? Do you want to just spill your guts? And yes, and so that still exists, and there's every region, every part of the world, and Daniel might be I don't know, but anyways, it's brother. I just gonna say like it's like all of that, just it all ebbs and flows and changes, and it. I mean, it's gosh. It's just like anything else, man. As it changes, you adapt to it and you deal with it.
Oh yeah.
And yeah, it does get worse over time, man. It might get it does. But at the same point when I first started, it was easier, but then I had a baseline and then I could just adapt to these changes.
Yeah, you just make adjustments. Yeah.
If that
that's just it. I think it gets worse over time. But when you really look at things, it's amazing how everything comes back around full circle. And I think that's going back to what you were saying, Ryan, like ChatGPT and these, the younger generations are starting to figure it out. And they're like, okay, You know, why wouldn't you use it as a tool? Why wouldn't you do this?
Yeah.
Why wouldn't you? You know, and that goes into everything. It's like, you know, we're a bunch of old dudes, but when you look at it,
Whoa.
I look at
Easy.
right. You're an old dude. You got a fucking old Mountain
Whoa.
Dew shirt on, man. Look at you.
Whoa. I just like to look
Classic,
cool.
not old. Classic.
Yeah.
It's a vintage. Well,
There you
shit,
go.
I'm not even wearing a fucking Mickey Mouse shirt. Holy shit.
It's the
Seriously?
club.
Mickey.
I got it.
Nice.
Mickey Mouse, dude. The end of that movie, still, yes. Oh,
Yeah.
that's one of the best. That's
Okay.
one of the best closing scenes of any movie ever.
Yep.
Dan
That's
says,
one of the biggest things we got to do is be better as we get older and we're a different generation. Is okay. You know, Andrew, you just retired last year. You know, it's like you guys got it. We've got to kind of back a little bit. Yeah, we've all got experience. We've all got advice. But we've all learned that lesson the hard way. I don't know how many times my dad told me something.
Yeah.
Didn't make a damn bit. Didn't matter. Didn't matter.
you still you had to learn for
times I
yourself.
told me I had to learn for myself. Yeah, we've all got to make that mistake, and that's one thing that this generation. And I mean, Ryan, I'm sure you see it. Vic. You got kids. You're an educator. You give them advice. I know you do.
Mm-hmm.
But,
real quick, I want to hit these comments up. So Fagan says Chat GPT lets you reword it, no replication. So that, I would agree. That'd be a good deal right there. Dan says the free and public sale of fish tacos is a red flag for anyone looking to move to that area.
A red
He is
tide.
not wrong.
It is a red tide. Oh shit. No, Mike's right, man. It's you give advice, but I mean, here's the funny thing is I and maybe I don't know, maybe it's because of who I am and how I present myself, and a lot of my advice is taken, a lot of my statements are at least heard. People meet me, I'm only here because of a nursing school student who's a partner with Mike's son, right? Right? It's Bailey.
Absolutely.
Right?
So you're here because you're a damn veteran, man.
That too. Right.
Okay.
Well, and obviously, but that's the introduction. And there's those kids out, man. There's those veterans kids. There's those, like wives, girlfriends, daughters, like whatever. And it's one of those things where if you're putting out your knowledge and you're putting out your 2 cents the right way, like, I don't know, it lands a little bit. It is taken and internalized. And all of us are, way more than 10, 15, 20 years away from just having a blanket put over our shoulders and sat by the fucking fire. And it's like, well, just listen, Pop. And I can't wait for that to be the case. I can't wait for Pop has 2 whiskeys in him and he's talking shit and I'm telling stories.
Yeah, in front of the Christmas tree.
Yeah.
Like, come here.
We're not there yet, right? We're still in that live functioning, running the world, having an input and imparting stuff on the younger generation. And that younger generation is, as we, are where we're at, we're at a point where we're still in it and now they're in it. So, what you can put out, what you can give them, these things we learn through dealing with PTSD, these things we can learn dealing with the VA, whether it's we're talking to other soldiers or just, people in our civilian lives when we get out. Like, how do you deal with, like what Mark was saying the other day, like there's commanders who can't get hired when they get out of the military to working the job they work. But there's probably civilian kids that get in there that are running their AI. Like, just be you, have these skills, do these things, just be, just open and relational.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Man.
that's the thing is the older we get, the less adaptable we become.
Yes.
And that's I'll give it that to you, Ryan. And you're in that community now, as far as in like nursing school, you're dealing with stuff. You're dealing with got people that are what, half your age or more, and you've got to see things that are like, God, seriously. It's got to be amazing to look at. And it's like, really?
Big nods. Big nods. What? Or I'm listening to lectures and I'm like,
not get any bigger.
I see the Washington state politics. I hear it in the thing, and you're trying to be apolitical, but it's not. And it's this. I'm like, hey, man, like, I know what I know. I know what I know to have to answer the right question on a test. That doesn't, to get a right answer on a test doesn't change my morality or my beliefs or my Christianity or like, I'm not gonna deny Jesus on a state nursing test, right? Or even the boards. You know what I mean? Like, there's nothing, or like say like, yeah, the Marine Corps is corrupt and evil. I would never say something like that. I'm an Air Force vet. Those things don't exist, right? So the acute paranoia, the QAnon nonsense isn't a thing. But but the reality is yeah, dude, I live on a coast and in an area and region and go to a school and deal with nonsense, horseshit, things that I don't believe, things that I believe are abject untruths, things that I would love to stand up and argue and fight against, but I don't care, man. I can just
Man,
be
is it worth the fight?
This isn't worth the squeeze. But you know what is worth it? Is loving these kids and being an example. And there's 18 other kids that are going to be like, I just dealt with an Air Force psycho who was a cop and a SWAT guy and a medic. But you know what? He was super kind to me, helpful, listened, he dad energy.
Like, absolutely.
If I can
you
come
were
in with
that,
cool
you were
uncle, cool
later.
dad energy, and it's not to be cool these kids. Fuck these kids. I don't care. It's not to be that, but it's to just. And I say that I'm going to take back that F. It's just to be good and supportive and like just like, hey man, like look at there are some things that the military and veterans like us that we've learned that can teach you. We can give you. Don't join the Marine Corps. You don't want to join the Marine Corps? Cool. Let me just give you a little like Let me give you a little something from the Air Force. Let me give you a little something from 20 years of law enforcement.
Yeah, just life in general. Yeah.
And it's
now
just
you're giving them experience. You're giving them whether they have it, don't have it. It's one of those things that it doesn't matter what unit you ever went to. There was always that one person, was, the platoon sergeant, whatever it was. But you're giving them that dad. Your dad.
Yeah.
Whether you believe it or not, Ryan, you're probably dad to them. You're the
papa. It's fine.
You're the one person. You're the one constant they always know is there.
And you know what else is funny, and they used to say this on the drill field a lot, but you may be the only father figure that person has or has seen or whatever example. And I think that's impactful. And what you're doing, Bone, going in and just being there and helping them out when you can and just kind of being that father figure, maybe the only father figure they had.
That's very generous and gracious of you guys. That took a hard right complimentary turn, but I don't disagree. But I mean, to kick it back to you guys, I think we all do that. I think you guys all do that in your professions and your interactions with people, and honestly, all veterans can. So
Yeah,
to the greater
absolutely.
audience, anyone hearing this, like, all of you can do it. Even if you're a veteran that's struggling and you're the one who's seeking help and you're the one hearing this and reaching out to the VA that actually gets hurt, good VA, or Valhalla or whatever. It's like, man, like you have so much to give, and it's one of those things that, like, if you're putting it out, someone's going to receive it, and
Yeah.
that's, whether it's just quiet, constant, just being, who you are and in an ear and listening, or whether you're like
Yeah.
spit fire, like, sometimes we do or don't. It's what it
Mhm.
is, and it's good, man. It's positive. It's
Yeah.
like,
Agreed.
Big thing with that though is giving it out. You've got to be able to accept it, and I think I'm
Mm.
not. Me personally, I'm terrible at accepting it. I am an absolutely terrible at accepting it. I can't. When somebody says something positive to me, I'm like, yeah, that I don't deserve it. It's not. But that's actually the thing you have to understand is, man, you got to give it. You give it, give it, give it, give it. It's okay to take it.
no,
It
I
is okay
appreciate
to
that.
take it.
It's
As I
okay
as I
when,
deflected earlier, so my
Yeah.
apologies.
yeah.
I accept it.
No. Well, that's kind of actually why I said it.
I know it's
And,
exactly why you said it.
yeah, well, because I am terrible at it. I'll sit there and talk to people, and and somebody will say something, and hell, we were on just a month ago, my wife and I were on a cruise, and we were talking to a guy who was a Marine vet, a Marine vet. I say Marine, but don't we're vets. We don't have to say Marine, Army, Navy, whatever. We're all vets.
Unless we're talking crap.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Totally.
yeah. Then at that point,
Yeah.
fuck the Army.
Yeah.
But I won't say that to the Air Force because my father was in the Air Force, and he'll come down and beat my ass. He will beat my ass. But, that's why I
Well,
didn't
he
say anything
should.
about it. Yep. But
Shoot.
it's like, it's okay sometimes to accept kindness. It's
Yeah.
okay to accept, and it's a hard thing. Just, man, I'll show empathy, compassion, and people have told me through the years. Even my wife says, most people have a hard time being an asshole, but you have a hard time being nice.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what
You
she's
know?
talking about. You've always been nice to me.
Yeah, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Never nice to me.
Well,
Yeah,
you
we've only
deserve
met
it.
we've only met a couple of times in service, Vic, once or twice, but 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 everybody says I have a resting bitchy face, so I'm like, even when I was in high school, my band director was always like, "Why are you always mad?" I'm like, "I'm not mad. Sorry,
RBF, resting bitch face.
yeah, I'm not sorry, I'm not like, hello my baby, hello my honey, but it's like, just we've got, I'll give it, and I have no problem giving it, but it's amazing how hard it is for me to receive it.
Yeah. No,
But
I
you've gotten
completely
much
understand
better
it.
at it.
And yeah, fuck you too, Andrew. But
I said
No, it's
something
true.
nice.
No, he was right. Probably.
Jeez.
I don't know, dude. I used to get my old partner Jay, who I got shot with, used to give me fake awards and medals every 3 months because I hadn't gotten one, a real one, in enough time. He was like, "Oh, whoa, you're being salty. Like, what's your problem? Oh, like, send me a text on the work phone, big blue ribbon. You're number one. Like, it's been 6 months since you killed someone or saved someone's life. Like, fucking, all right, here you go. I love you. Let's move on. And I mean, give or take, right? And so it's,
yeah.
but again, like I love production. I love a production. I love an award. I hate getting it and having to stand there, right?
Yeah.
I don't mind it on the wall, right? No one's gonna turn down a bronze star or a silver cross or the Medal of Honor, but I think about 99% of those guys who obviously like actually lived to get them weren't um were very uncomfortable, very uncomfortable
Yeah.
standing there getting that put around their neck. And whether or not they loved the president that was doing it, shit, the human piece of shit that put my state Medal of Honor around my neck, um, in the state of Washington. Anyways, it wasn't about him. It was about the award, and it was about
Yes. It
law
was about
enforcement.
you.
And no, it wasn't about me. It was about the award, and it was about the thing. But you know, things like that. Yeah, it's hard to say, and like hence my just last statement. Right? It's like I would, if I had my ruthers, no, but we're good at being good at giving praise is good, and we should give praise. You should praise publicly. You should discipline privately.
Yeah.
And redirect and do things. But
Dan,
just taking stuff. It's what it
Dan
is.
said something that was along the lines of what you're saying, but he's basically said, got to go. Great show tonight. Remember this: keep your fear to yourself, but always share your courage with others.
Yeah.
It's pretty good.
Yeah.
And then
there.
What's that?
Those are words of wisdom right there.
Yep.
Oh, he was getting his words of wisdom in. That's what it was. Okay.
That's very good, man.
He's sneaky on that. I like it. All right. Speaking of words of wisdom, we've been on here for a little while, so we should probably wrap it up. We don't not go for a 3-hour one tonight. I do have some things I need to do. But yeah, we'll go ahead and do words of wisdom. How's that sound? Good?
Yeah.
Words of wisdom. Dan put his in, so he's good. Who wants to go first? Who's got some good words of wisdom?
We've talked a lot about character tonight, so I'll say character consists of what you do on the third and fourth tries.
Ooh, okay. That's pretty good. I like it. Bone, you got anything?
Man, you're catching me. You know what I'll say? You know what? Never give up, never give in, and just always keep moving forward. Whatever that is to you, whatever that means in this moment, do that, and you're going to make progress.
That's good. All right. Mike, you got anything for us?
Stop talking about the change you wish to see in the world and actually be the change you wish to see.
In the world.
Yeah, the change you wish to see, yeah.
Or the universe.
Yeah, sorry. Did I glitch or something or what? What?
No, I'm glitching.
This is a
like
good
it's
bit,
cool.
Sensei. That was good.
Yeah. Sorry.
I glitched through the whole thing, so I missed it all, and hopefully I stay on.
Oh,
for the
you
rest
did?
Of this.
No, it was good. You missed Nate's bit. It was.
I have to go back and watch the ending of this.
It's good.
Fagan says, "Preach it." So must have been good, whatever it was. All right, well, guys, thanks for coming on and doing this. You guys rock. I enjoy getting on here and having conversations and all that stuff. So thanks for doing it. I don't care what anybody says about you guys. You guys are awesome. So just to let you know, I consider you all my friend. So
me too.
Me too.
Yeah,
You got a
you're
2-2?
all right. You're all right.
That's what I was waiting on.
You're all right.
That's what I was waiting on. Just an all right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I gotta meet Ryan. I gotta meet Ryan in person, man. Where do you live at?
I live in
Where you live?
Lyndon, Washington, man. I'm 5 minutes south of the Canadian border.
All
So
right. So
15
Thank
yeah,
minutes,
God you're
20
way
minutes
up
north
there.
of Dacia and
yeah,
Bailey. So,
yeah. My wife are gonna be out there in August in September. So
no, if
I
you
hope I
come up
get
in
a
September, I'll be there.
I hope I get a chance to meet you, man.
Me too. Yeah, I'll be there. I'll make time. Trust.
All right.
Trust.
All right. Well, guys, thanks for coming on and doing this. Much appreciated. To all the veterans out there, if you're struggling, need help, anything like that, don't forget that the VA has some great resources. You can always dial 988, press option 1. You can always text 838-255, or you can go to veteranscrisisline.net and click on that chat icon. Any of those options will put you in contact with somebody that can help you out. But remember, one veteran life lost is one too many. I care about you. The crew cares about you. The entire veteran community cares about you. So please reach out for help. And if you're out there, you're not struggling, reach out to the buddies you serve with. Ask them how they're doing. And if they need that helping hand, please give it to them. All right, guys, one last time. Thank you very much. To all the listeners, stay motivated, change your socks.